All right, the daily update on 1000 days challenge. This is day 631. So apologies for late update again. So what I mentioned right now, the transition, a lot of things, both in terms of moving to a new place and also in terms of moving to a new job, everything is trying to settle down. So definitely not the best case scenario when it comes to trading wise of things, especially for experimental trade setup. But for main trading house setup itself, it is still what it is. Right now, it's still a little bit choppy wise, so I'm not very keen in terms of triggering in terms of the systematic trading approach, especially for a short setup, especially when I do see the price action wise do leans towards in neutral to potentially a very nice bounce. But let's see how things goes. If there's a very good setup wise, I will still potentially enter for short setup in that sense. All right, other than that, if you're looking across the market itself on the weekly closing, I would say S&P 500, S&P 500 and Nasdaq definitely did close on the bearish note for this week. So I do see potential that we could see much further sell-off pressure in the coming week to go. Especially you can see over here, it's a negative 2.7 and negative 2.6 on the daily in terms of the action itself. So definitely not a good sign. As you can see over here, a very strong push up, but then a very strong rejection towards the down, and then we close all the way right at the bottom for the end of the week itself. And then similarly, if you look in them for Nasdaq itself, similar price action attempted. So a decent bounce attempted, but it was strongly failed, and then we could potentially be seeing much lower low towards the 11,000 to 12,000 region itself. So that's definitely a region that I do want to see, and this could perhaps from an ABC kind of a corrective pattern, in which case I'll be very keen to enter towards the lower side of things. So for now, I'm definitely not looking to add over here because I don't see any clear confirmation even on the weekly or on the daily chart in terms of support just yet. So let's see how things goes. Potentially, I do see these recent swing low to be broken up. So I'll be removing this Fibonacci retracement level. And what I mentioned, if you want to see a bounce, you want it to bounce between the 0.61 of the recent high, the recent low region itself. And in addition to that, you want to see a bullish market structure formation over here on the daily chart itself to potentially see a much more stronger likelihood for reversal in that sense. All right. So having said that, in terms of ASA Shanghai wise, it's still definitely on the bearish side of things. ASA Shanghai potentially form a double bottom, but bearing in mind that on the weekly chart definitely does look to be more bearish, especially when we go strongly below the 200 period moving average on the weekly chart itself. So definitely not a good sign. And then over if you look at the KBET wise, it's slightly a little bit more less bearish in that sense because we actually, all-time high below is definitely a very huge drop. But bearing in mind that overall, it's still not a very bullish sign in the sense that we could see very much for the uncharted territory itself. So in addition to the fact of the delisting kind of fear in terms of the general consensus, do bear in mind that we also have delisting itself would have ripple effect in the sense that people who are actually unable to invest directly in the China market would not be able to do so. So it does reduce the pool of the people that is able to buy the shares easily, even if it is possible for the US people to buy indirectly through other means, through certain means. It also does mean that there are certain people who are not able to get it that easily, and they would definitely choose to avoid it in that sense. All right, having said that, that's more or less about it in terms of Bitcoin wise. You can read over here. I did mention that right now things looks a little bit on the neutral simply because we had a clear support line, and it seems to be clearly supported over here right now on the weekly chart. But bearing in mind that the key thing that I want to mention is really about what would S&P 500 and Nasdaq do in the coming week. If a very strong bounce were to continue, then potentially we get a very nice bounce over here. But if a very strong sell pressure continues in that sense, I do see much further sell pressure over here for Bitcoin as well. So otherwise, that's more or less about it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to provide your comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Bye.